Hello everyone, my name is Anushka Saxena and in this video we are going to read Geography Chapter 6 Manufacturing Industries. So let's begin. On the occasion of Diwali, Harish went to a market with his parents. They purchased shoes and clothes for him. His mother purchased utensils, sugar, tea and diyas, earthen lamps. Harish observed that the shops in the market were flooded with items for sale. He wondered how so many items could be made in such large quantities. His father explained that shoes, clothes, sugar, etc. are manufactured by machines in large industries. Some utensils are manufactured in small industries, while items like diyas are made by individual artisans in household industry. Do you have some ideas about these industries? Production of goods in large quantities after processing from raw materials to more valuable products is called manufacturing. Do you know that paper is manufactured from wood, sugar from sugarcane, iron and steel from iron ore, and aluminium from bauxite? Do you also know that some types of clothes are manufactured from yarn, which itself is an industrial product? People employed in these secondary activities manufacture the primary materials into finished goods. The workers employed in steel factories, car, breweries, textile industries, bakeries, etc. fall into this category. Some people are employed in providing services. In this chapter, we are mainly concerned with manufacturing industries which fall in the secondary sector. The economic strength of a country is measured by the development of manufacturing industries. Importance of manufacturing. Manufacturing sector is considered the backbone of development in general and economic development in particular, mainly because manufacturing industries not only help in modernizing agriculture, which forms the backbone of our economy, they also reduce the heavy dependence of people on agricultural income by providing them jobs in secondary and tertiary sectors. Industrial development is a precondition for eradication of unemployment and poverty from our country. This was the main philosophy behind public sector industries and joint sector ventures in India. It was also aimed at bringing down regional disparities by establishing industries in tribal and backward areas. Export of manufactured goods expands trade and commerce and brings in much needed foreign exchange. Countries that transform their raw materials into a wide variety of furnished goods of higher value are prosperous. India's prosperity lies in increasing and diversifying its manufacturing industries as quickly as possible. Agriculture and industry are not exclusive of each other, they move hand in hand. For instance, the agro industries in India have given a major boost to agriculture by raising its productivity. They depend on the latter for raw materials and sell their products such as irrigation pumps, fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, plastic and PVC pipes, machines and tools, etc. to the farmers. Thus, development and competitiveness of manufacturing industry has not only assisted agriculturalists in increasing their production but also made the production process very efficient. In the present day world of globalization, our industry needs to be more efficient and competitive. Self-sufficiency alone is not enough. Our manufactured goods must be at par in quality with those in the international market. Only then we will be able to compete in the international market. Contribution of industry to national economy. Over the last 2 decades, the share of manufacturing sector has stagnated at 17% of GDP out of total 27% of the industry, which includes 10% for mining, quarrying, electricity and gas. This is much lower in comparison to some East Asian economies where it is 25 to 35%. The trend of growth rate in manufacturing over the last decade has been around 7% per annum. The desired growth rate over the next decade is 12%. Since 2003, manufacturing is once again growing at the rate of 9 to 10% per annum. With appropriate policy interventions by the government and renewed efforts by the industry to improve productivity, economists predict that manufacturing can achieve its target over the next decade. The National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council (NMCC) has been set up with this objective. Industrial location. Industrial locations are complex in nature. These are influenced by availability of raw material, labor, capital, power and market, etc. It is rarely possible to find all these factors available at one place. Consequently, manufacturing activity tends to locate at the most appropriate place where all the factors of industrial location are either available or can be arranged at lower cost. After an industrial activity starts, urbanization follows. Sometimes industries are located in or near the cities. Thus, industrialization and urbanization go hand in hand. Cities provide markets and also provide services such as banking, insurance, transport, labor, consultants, and financial advice, etc., to the industry. Many industries tend to come together to make use of the advantages offered by the urban centers known as agglomeration economies. Gradually, a large industrial agglomeration takes place. In the pre-independence period, most manufacturing units were located in places from the point of view of overseas trade such as Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, etc. Consequently, there emerged certain pockets of industrially developed urban centers surrounded by a huge agricultural rural hinterland. The key to decision of the factory location is the least cost. Government policies and specialized labor also influence the location of industry. Classification of industries. List the various manufactured products you use in your daily life, such as transistors, electric bulbs, vegetable oil, cement glassware, petrol, matches, scooter, automobiles, medicines, and so on. If we classify the various industries based on a particular criterion, then we would be able to understand their manufacturing better. Industries may be classified as follows on the basis of source of raw materials used: agro-based, cotton, wool, woolen, jute, silk, textile, rubber and sugar, tea, coffee, edible oil; mineral-based, iron and steel, cement, aluminium, machine tools, petrochemicals. According to their main role, basic or key industries which supply their products or raw materials to manufacture other goods, for example, iron and steel, and copper smelting, aluminium smelting. Consumer industries that produce goods for direct use by consumers: sugar, toothpaste, paper, sewing machines, fans, etc. On the basis of capital investment, a small-scale industry is defined with reference to the maximum investment allowed on the assets of a unit. This limit has changed over a period of time. At present, the maximum investment allowed is rupees 1 crore. On the basis of ownership, public sector owned and operated by government agencies, BHEL, SAIL, etc. Private sector industries owned and operated by individuals or a group of individuals, TISCO, Bajaj Auto Limited, Dabur Industries. Joint sector industries which are jointly run by the state and individuals or a group of individuals. Oil India Limited, OIL, is jointly owned by public and private sector. Cooperative sector industries are owned and operated by the producers or suppliers of raw materials, workers, or both. They pool in their resources and share the profits or losses proportionally, such as the sugar industry in Maharashtra, the coir industry in Kerala. Based on the bulk and weight of raw material and finished goods, heavy industries such as iron and steel, light industries that use light raw materials and produce light goods such as electrical industries. Agro-based industries. Cotton, jute, silk, woolen textiles, sugar and edible oil etc. industries are based on agricultural raw materials. Textile industries. The textile industries occupies unique position in the Indian economy because it contributes significantly to industrial production 14%, employment generation 35 million persons directly, the second largest after agriculture, and foreign exchange earnings about 24.6%. It contributes 4% towards GDP, that is, gross domestic product. It is the only industry in the country which is self-reliant and complete in the value chain, that is, from raw material to the highest value added products. Cotton textiles. In ancient India, cotton textiles were produced with hand spinning and handloom weaving techniques. After the 18th century, power looms came into use. Our traditional industries suffered a setback during the colonial period because they could not compete with the mill-made cloth from England. The first successful textile mill was established in Mumbai in 1854. This can be a question in the board exams. Please remember, the first successful textile mill was established in Mumbai in 1854. The two world wars were fought in Europe. India was a British colony. There was a demand for cloth in UK, hence they gave a boost to the development of cotton textile industries. As on 13 November 2011, there were 1,946 cotton and human-made fiber textile milk in the country. I think this should be mill, not milk. About 80% of these are in the private sector and the rest in the public and cooperative sectors. Apart from these, there are several thousand small factories with 4 to 10 looms. In the early years, the cotton textile industry was concentrated in the cotton growing belt of Maharashtra and Gujarat. Availability of raw cotton, market, transport, including accessible port facilities, labor, moist climate, etc., contributed towards its localization. This industry has close links with agriculture and provides a living to farmers, cotton ball pluckers, and workers engaged in ginning, spinning, weaving, dyeing, designing, packaging, tailoring, and sewing. The industry, by creating demands, support many other industries such as chemicals and dyes, mill stores, packaging materials, and engineering works. While spinning continues to be centralized in Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Tamil Nadu, weaving is highly decentralized to provide scope for incorporating traditional skills and designs of weaving in cotton, silk, zari, embroidery, etc. India has world-class production in spinning, but weaving supplies low quality of fabric as it cannot use much of the high-quality yarn produced in the country. Weaving is done by handloom, power loom, and in mills. The handspun khadi provides large-scale employment to weavers in their homes as a cottage industry. Study the figures above and note the share of mills in the production of fabric. Why is it important for our country to keep the mill sector loomage lower than power loom and handloom? India exports yarn to Japan. Other importers of cotton goods from India are USA, UK, Russia, France, East European countries, Nepal, Singapore, Sri Lanka, and African countries. India has the second largest installed capacity of spindles in the world, with 43.13 million spindles 2011 to 12 after China. Since the mid-80s, the spinning sector has received a lot of attention. We have a large share in the world trade of cotton yarn, accounting for 1/4 of the total trade. However, our trade in garments is only 4% of the world's total. Our spinning mills are competitive at the global level and capable of using all the fibers we produce. The weaving, knitting, and processing units cannot use much of the high quality yarn that is produced in the country. There are some large and modern factories in these segments, but most of the production is in fragmented small units which cater to the local market. This mismatch is a major drawback for the industry. As a result, many of our spinners export cotton yarn while apparel garment manufacturers have to import fabric. Yarn is sold at rupees 85 per kg. If it is sold as a trouser, it fetches rupees 8. If it is sold as a trouser, it fetches rupees 800 per kg. Value is added at every stage from fiber to yarn to fabric and to garment. Why is it important for us to improve our weaving sector instead of exporting yarn in large quantities? Although we have made significant increase in the production of good quality long staple cotton, 356 lakh bales of 170 kgs each during 2011 to 12, the need to import is still felt. Power supply is erratic and machinery needs to be upgraded in the weaving and processing sectors in particular. The other problems are the low output of labor and stiff competition with the synthetic fiber industry. Jute textiles. India is the largest producer of raw jute and jute goods and stands at the second place as an exporter after Bangladesh. I think this is the only thing in which China is not at the first, but Bangladesh is on the first place and we are on the second. There were about 80 jute mills in India in 2010 to 12. Most of these are located in West Bengal, mainly along the banks of the Hooghly River in a narrow belt 98 km long and 3 km wide. The first jute mill was set up near Kolkata in 1859 at Risra. This is also a very nice map question. I repeat, the first jute mill was set up near Kolkata in 1859 at Risra. After partition in 1947, the jute mills remained in India, but 3/4 of the jute producing area went to Bangladesh, erstwhile East Pakistan. Factors responsible for their location in the Hooghly Basin are proximity of the jute producing areas, inexpensive water transport, supported by a good network of railways, roadways and waterways to facilitate movement of raw material to the mills, abundant water for processing raw jute, cheap labor from West Bengal and adjoining states of Bihar, Orissa and Uttar Pradesh. Kolkata as a large urban center provides banking, insurance and port facilities for export of jute goods. In 2010-11, the jute industry was supporting 3.7 lakh workers directly and another 40 lakhs small and marginal farmers who were engaged in cultivation of jute and mesta. many more people were associated indirectly. Challenges faced by the industry include stiff competition in the international market from synthetic substitutes and from other competitors like Bangladesh, Brazil, Philippines, Egypt, and Thailand. However, the internal demand has been on the increase due to the government policy of mandatory use of jute packaging. To stimulate demand, the products need to be diversified. In 2005, National Jute Policy was formulated with the objective of increasing productivity, improving quality, ensuring good prices to the jute farmers, and enhancing the yield per hectare. The main markets are USA, Canada, Russia, United Arab Republic, UK, and Australia. The growing global concern for environment-friendly biodegradable materials has once again opened the opportunity for jute products. Sugar industry. India stands second as a world producer of sugar but occupies the first place in the production of gur and khandasari. The raw material used in this industry is bulky and in haulage its sucrose content reduces. Where should the mills be ideally located? In 2010-11, there were over 662 sugar mills in the country spread over Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat, along with Punjab, Haryana and Madhya Pradesh. 60% mills are in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. This industry is seasonal in nature, so it is ideally suited to the cooperative sector. Can you explain why this is so? In recent years, there is a tendency for the mills to shift and concentrate in the southern and western states, especially in Maharashtra. This is because the cane produced here has a higher sucrose content. The cooler climate also ensures a longer crushing season. Moreover, the cooperatives are more successful in these states. Major challenges include the seasonal nature of the industry, old and inefficient methods of production, transport delay in reaching cane to factories, and the need to maximize the use of baggies. Mineral-based industries will start in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.